The Premier League is back, and it's tradition for many YouTubers to make Premier League prediction videos. And so today, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. Starting off with last place, Southampton. Alright, I'm sorry Southampton fans, I actually know a couple Southampton fans, but this is the team that finished rock bottom last time there in the Premier League, and I think they're going to do it again. I don't see the Southampton team doing very well. They don't have the players anymore, they don't have the mentality I don't think, and I think the Premier League's just way too competitive for them at this point. So, goodbye Southampton, you're getting relegated for the second time in a row in my opinion. Next up is a controversial one, Everton. And Everton for the past couple of years have been floating around the relegation spot. I feel like they've always came 17th or 16th or 14th or something. But I think that this time they're going to do what Burnley did a while ago and sack Sean Dyche, even though he's probably their main man to get them out of relegation. I think they're going to replace him with someone like Ralph Hasenhüttl, and I think they're going to get relegated, finishing 19th place. Next up is Bournemouth. Now, I like Bournemouth's manager. I forgot his name though. But I think he's a great manager. But yet again, the Premier League's just way too competitive now. It's just so much teams. They have so much money. And I don't think Bournemouth will be able to survive. So that's now we're out the relegation zone. And let's go to 17th place. And yep, that's right, I predict Ipswich Town to survive the Premier League in 17th. I think Ipswich Town have a good enough manager. I'm pretty sure he used to work at Manchester United. And I think they're going to pull off a shock like Leicester did in 2015, I think it was, and finish outside the relegation zone. And obviously they're not going to win the league next season, I don't believe that. But I think they'll make a miraculous comeback out of the relegation zone. They'll be like 19th in February, but they'll come back and they'll do decent. Anyway, 16th, Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest is now just that team that finishes between 13th and 16th. They'll never actually get relegated, I'm being honest. They're kind of the new Crystal Palace in my opinion. I don't think under Nuno Espirito Santo, Nottingham Forest will be relegated. So moving on to the next people, Fulham. Fulham is, again, just like Nottingham Forest, they're 15th place, in my opinion. They're a 15th place team, and under Marco Silva, he has brought Craven Cottage into a decent-sized position where they can't get relegated, really, but they also can't break into, say, Europa League spots. Anyway, that is 15 done, and let's move on to the next person. Brentford Football Club used to be a team that almost seemed doomed to the championship, even getting relegated to League One at times. But now they've actually gone back into the Premier League, and they actually do decent now. I think their star men are Ivan Toney and Mbomo, who I think is a really underrated guy, even though he does get a lot of praise. And I think Brentford are a decent enough team, and they'll come 14th. And next up is Wolverhampton Wanderers. I feel like Wolves aren't really the thing they used to be under Nuno. I remember everyone was very excited over them. But now they're just 13th place team, mid-table, quite boring football. But they are one of those teams that can pull off a shock. So don't be surprised if they beat out a Tottenham or a Chelsea or even an Arsenal at one point in the league season. And next up, West Ham United. I swear David Moyes has been the manager since 2017, correct me if I'm wrong West Ham fans, but they've done decent. They won the Conference League, I'm pretty sure, but I just don't see it having in them. I don't see them doing anything this year. I think they'll be pretty boring, I think. And yeah, 12th place. And next up is Jamie Vardy's Leicester City. I don't think Leicester will make the explosion people think they will in the Premier League again. I think they'll finish in an 11th place position just like they did before they got the shock relegation. And I think that Leicester will never really return to the point of when they won that league in that famous year. But who knows? And starting up in the number 10 position, welcome Brighton and Hove Albion. I think that Brighton are a decent enough team. They have really good players, even though their philosophy is kind of sell on, buy a young talent. But they got those good players like Evan Ferguson. They got, I forgot that goalkeeper's name, but they have great players. And anyway, moving on to the most controversial pick of this video. And really, I don't know why this is controversial. Manchester United in 9th position. I think people are blinded and forget the fact that Manchester United finished 8th. Yeah, they won an FA Cup, but Ten Hag is still pretty rubbish in my opinion. He was getting sacked if he didn't win that final against City, and even then, City didn't even play all that well. I think Manchester United will be dire this season. Ten Hag getting sacked midway through the season, and I don't even know who they'll get, because there won't be Eddie Howe or like Graham Potter on the market, I don't think, with the England job vacant. So I don't really know who Manchester United will get. Maybe they'll get a shock interim person like Ralph Rangnick in again, but I don't think he can save Manchester United's season. So Manchester United will finish 9th behind Newcastle United, who will finish 8th. Controversial here now. I think Newcastle United are a team expected a lot more of because they're owned by Saudi money, but I don't expect that much off of them. Last season they got a lot of injuries which stunted their season a lot, but I think Eddie Howe could even leave the job for England. We'll see if the FA actually is serious about getting him, but I think Eddie Howe would accept it if he had the offer, so I don't think Newcastle United will do that well this season, but I could see them getting a shock appointment, like even Jose Mourinho if his Fenerbahce job doesn't work out next season. But another shocker, Crystal Palace 7th. I think Crystal Palace are a really well-run team, and even though they lost their star man Michael Olise, they still have a bunch of great players like Jean-Philippe Mateta and Eberechi Eze. So I think a comfortable Conference League position will be on the books for Crystal Palace. And next up, number 6 is Aston Villa, a team that actually finished in the Champions League last season. I don't think they'll replicate it. I think that they will do good though, and will even keep on to their star man Ollie Watkins. But time will tell to see if they could actually replicate what they did last season. And next up, Chelsea Football Club. Now I know Chelsea Football Club has been a mishmash of poor form and terrible managers and massive egos in the dressing room. And I know it doesn't help that Chelsea's dressing room's kind of exploding at the moment over incidents. But I think they'll manage to get it on the road, and I think they'll finish 5th in a comfortable position. But next up is the club I support, Tottenham Hotspur. I think that Ange Postecoglou is a very good manager, almost Jurgen Klopp-esque in my opinion. I think that he will do really well with Spurs. I think they'll gel and they'll finish in a comfortable top 4 position, right behind, next on the list, Arsenal Football Club. I don't like Arsenal, but I respect them a bit because the fact that Mikel Arteta took this dying team that looked like a crevice of their former self. They looked boring under Unai Emery and even at the start Mikel Arteta, and he's turned them into actual title challengers. I don't think they'll be able to challenge the title this season, but I think that they will play some nice football and finish like a point or two over Spurs. But we'll see if that lasts long, Arsenal's dominance over North London. And we'll see if Tottenham can take back the crown that they had under Pochettino. And next up is Manchester City. The team with 115, I think it's 17 even now, charges. And now these charges will be looming over City's head. And I think it will even get to them at points. Just like how they finished second when they got the Champions League ban and that was supposed to be in place, I think the same will happen to City. And they'll end their dominance of winning the Premier League every season. And it'll hopefully stop those Spanish fans from saying that Premier League's a farmers' league. And that only means one thing. The one club that is left here, the one club that can now win the league and take back their dominance that they had in the 80s and even the 2020s, I guess you would call them. And anyway, say hello to next season's Premier League winners, in my opinion, Liverpool Football Club. I put a nice little red font on the first because they're winners. Liverpool Football Club, I think, is going to win the league this year. Controversial because they have a new manager called Arne Slot. He kind of looks like Ten Hag. He's from the Netherlands as well. He looks like Ten Hag with no beard. But I think he'll manage to bring back the dominance that Liverpool had. Liverpool had a lot of dead wood they need to get rid of. They've been very quiet in the transfer window, but I think they'll get those transfers over the line sooner or later. And I think that they will go on to win the league for the first time since the lockdown season. And okay, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you later. Thank you. Like and subscribe to the channel. And goodbye.